What's up, everybody? Hello. It's been a little bit since I've just done one of these videos where I talk, directly about a certain show or a movie or whatever. I've been dying to for so long. I finally had some time to catch up on things recently, and I've watched a few different shows, and one of them, of course, was The Last of Us Season 2. And, I was excited to see how this was going to turn out because when the game came out, it was like the biggest implosion of moods and feelings and whatever. And to everyone's shock, season 2 of the show adapts the second game, and it was an implosion of feelings and moods and tempers and stuff. It was the same thing, I felt like. But what was interesting this time was that, now you had people go who never spoke up for the second game before, now coming out and going, how could they adapt the show this way? It was a perfect game, and they didn't do it right, and they didn't. And it's like, that's what it took, huh? They had to make a TV show for you to realize the game was perfect, huh? Is that what it took? I just thought it was funny. I feel like there are a lot of people who wouldn't have confessed that before, and they got that out of them. No, the game was perfect. You weren't saying that 5 years ago. But it was funny. I feel like this is a story that is eternally damned to be fought about forever. And this time what was interesting is, when the game came out, you had the people who loved it just kind of like keeping to themselves. Like, all right, everyone's in like turf war over this game. I ain't going to get involved in that. I liked it. I'm moving on. And it's funny because, now with this TV show, the people who love the game were like getting angrier by the episode. Like, how could they do? What are they doing? What are they doing? So now I give my take. I'm the only one here, so you're not going to get anybody else's take. But my feelings on it aren't quite as simple. I do think, if I'm being real, if I'm being honest, I feel like a lot of the criticism, a lot of the rage is, if I'm being real, a lot of people trying to find a certain thing to be angry about because it's different from the game. Like, oh, that's different, but how do I say that it makes me mad? Oh, I'll just say, Ellie shouldn't have all these scars on her back. She didn't kill enough people for her to have that many scars on her back. And I'm like, didn't she get mauled by stalkers like 2 episodes ago? Oh, yeah. Well, I hate that, and a lot of it just turns into like, I don't like how the actress looks. Like, so much of it is, I don't like how the actress looks, or it even got to a point where people were like pausing it at funny like moments, like, oh, look how funny she looked in this part. This was the adaptation of the game. She looks like this. And it's like, yeah, you pause anything in the middle of them talking, it's not gonna look good. Like, I just feel like a lot of it, not all of it at all, but a lot of it was just people trying to find, okay, what's the thing I'm mad about? Okay, it's this. There was some of that. You gotta admit there was some of that. But I think there's a degree that is valid. It did take a very different approach than this game. This game, no matter where you landed on it, whether you loved the game, you hated the game, whatever. This was a sensitive story for a lot of people. People have I don't know how else to word this. This is a story that lovers, haters, and everything in between have what I call a paper asshole about. Any little thing is so sensitive on either end of it. And I knew that was going to happen. personally, I felt like they had an incredibly difficult challenge ahead of them with adapting this game in particular. So I honestly commend them a lot through like how they were able to like get through that. I don't think it was all done necessarily excellently. I'll just say before anything else, if you're asking me like what's the let me just give my main thesis here, okay? I don't think the problem here is, are they adapting it good or not? They did good with the first season, but how come they're not doing good with the second? I don't think it's a matter of like, oh, they, just screwed up or they're not as talented as they once were, the team that adapts this stuff. I actually don't think that's the conversation so much is as this story was written to be a video game, man. The first game had a story that worked in any format. You could have read that in a book. There could have been a young adult novel. You could have played the game. You could have watched the TV show. It could have been a movie. That story was succinct and just put a bow on it. Perfect. So it's no surprise. We really had it good with that first season. And I remember thinking that when it ended. I remember thinking, we don't know how good we have it. This is so malleable to whatever format you put it in. Last of Us Part 2 ain't that. Last of Us Part 2 speaks to the meta of what you're doing, playing a video game. And what do you do when you play a game? I mean, you're just killing waves of enemies, trying to get to the next level, all that stuff. You have a game that's not only talking about the nature of revenge and the cycle of violence and blah, 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 blah. You have all that stuff. But it's also making you confront the nature of the entertainment we consume, where it's acting out on those things. Oh, I can't wait to blow this guy's head up. I can't wait to, you know what I mean? It's putting a mirror to all that stuff. I don't think it's necessarily, you should feel bad for killing people in a video game, but it's making you just look at violence at every level. And it's a part of video games. It's sort of meta in that way where, it's like, oh, I'm going to shoot this guy. Whoa, they gave that guy a name. They're all going, oh no, Tom, they blew up Tom. Oh shit, I feel bad. You kill a dog in the game. Oh no, Patches, no. Oh, I feel bad about that. They're making you confront all of these things and your own relationship to violence in the world, in the media. It's easy to watch something on the news and go, this guy, no, this is very clear cut. They did this because of the, and then you're playing this game and you're going like, okay, now that, you're seeing this from two angles, man, it's not even like, see both sides and you realize they're both the same. It's not even that to me. The story to me is just kind of like, what a fucking shame. What a fucking shame it all is. That's kind of what I took from Last of Us 2. How it's this inescapable fucking quicksand dump that, this world can be, where you just get pulled in by the shit that happens to you and that you do in response to that. I really didn't take it as just see both sides and it's kind of just what a shame and what a sad situation it can be, what our emotions hold us to, and what you know what I mean. It's these things we're driven to do that our emotions tell us is right, and what our, this thing, that this path that we go down, and I don't know, I'm probably just rambling here, but and like I said, at the end of the day, I feel like it was really crafted to be a video game in that format. You're playing, once you get to Abby's storyline and you played through that, you kind of forgot about Ellie for a while, and then you got to fight her like it's a boss. And, every famous video game has a boss fight, just about every, a lot of them. And she's the boss in this game, and it's gross. It's like, I gotta hurt her. Like, it's really, really tailored to be a video game. And what do you do in video games? You kill a ton of enemies. I saw a lot of complaint about season 2 of the TV show being Ellie didn't kill enough people. Like her revenge kick kind of didn't kick off. That they kind of softened that whole path through, her revenge. That they kind of maybe played it too safe. I definitely see that. I was conflicted watching it, like, kind of thought she was going to go psycho killer mode by this point. I think there's ways they could have handled certain things different. So I'm not defending this as like, no, they did it the perfect way. No, I have my own thoughts on that, but I will say there is, I think if she was killing people at the level she was in the game, the show would be comedic. I think you would have a funnier TV show. I don't think it would achieve, again, I feel like this is inherent to video games. You are mowing people down at an incredible rate in a game, and that's normal. If that was happening in the TV show, I think we would be laughing by episode 4 or 5. You'd be going, okay, oh my God, all right. She's killed like the 700th person. It would be silly, I feel like. That's not to say that they nailed it, because I do feel like, again, like when she finally confronts what's her name in that hospital, and she beats the hell out of her. And then, they go, oh, but I let her live. She's infected, so I just walked away. And then when she confronts Mel and what's his name? What's the dude's name? The Abby's boyfriend. Owen? That was kind of surprising that it felt like that they kind of Greedo and Hond that whole situation. Way more like, oh, who shot first? Like that was kind of, I didn't necessarily love how that was executed. I kind of feel like she should have been more, that should have been the moment that she was more psycho killer mode. And then I surrendered to that, and it immediately backfired. And instead it was just kind of like, oops. I don't know. I didn't really, the finale was not my favorite, but I thought there was a lot of good stuff in it too. I like, people feel differently on this one way or another. I like Bella Ramsey. I think she's doing a great job. I think she's playing, I think the best episode of the season was the second to last episode with all the Joel flashbacks and stuff like that. That's my favorite of the season, I think. I really liked the beginning of the season too. I remember people had beef with it immediately. I liked the first couple episodes, but I think when you look at that flashback episode and the other episodes around, I don't know. I think she's doing a good job she has to be a kid and an older teen. I don't know. I think she's doing a good job. People have all these takes. I don't know. I think she's doing good. I don't really have much more to say on that. I think she's killing it. I think she did great. Really, like I said, I go back and forth just on, I was surprised. A big thing that surprised me was them handling Dena, the Dena relationship, the Ellie and Dena relationship. I kind of like what they changed to a point when it comes to like that Dena was present for Joel's death. I kind of, I really like the video game a lot. Last of Us Part 2, I just replayed it recently. It's a great game. But really, if I had to complain about anything, it was my two kind of biggest complaints. I love the second half with Abby and Lev and all that stuff. That stuff, I have no notes. I would say maybe overall, I always kind of felt like the game was maybe didn't need to be as long as it did. I'm just not I don't know. I feel like not every game has to be 30 hours. That being said, I have fun from beginning to end, and I think the work that they did is impeccable on it. But maybe I would. I don't think it needed to be twice as long as the first game. Okay, that's just my preference. I really love the second half of the game, but that first half were where my complaints were, where Ellie is kind of one note the whole first half. Like, obviously the big inciting incident happens, and then she's kind of like just psycho killer mode until you get to the middle where she meets Abby, and then we go to Abby's story, and I always kind of felt like kind of only one big beat for that first half, very fun to play. It's a fantastic game to play, but just story-wise, like, it was kind of like, oh, okay, it's just she's kind of at that level and stays there the whole first half. And then I felt like Dena, you have a partner and it's not as interesting as when you're with Joel. So from a video game perspective, I'm like, I wish my partner, that's what made the first game so fun, is like both partners in this situation were very fascinating characters. And Dena was just kind of there. So I kind of liked that in the TV show, she was present for Joel's murder. She's invested. At first I was a little iffy on their relationship kind of not kicking off. I don't know if I really I thought maybe it was a little corny. They survived the encounter with the stalkers and the WLF and all that stuff, and then hide in a theater, and then immediately like, I'm pregnant, and they're making out and doing all kinds of. I can't say it in video because I'm gonna get in trouble. No, but at first I was kind of like whatever on that, because it's like I just feel like if like 10 feet over I had just almost died and there were like 100 things that could murder me in the night, I wouldn't be able to like change gears and then be, like get all horny and talk about like, oh wow, what are we doing? Wow, I'm gonna have a baby. Wow, okay. I don't know. I just feel like it was a little bit quick of a transition. But I think in retrospect, I've kind of come around to it because, again, I kind of feel like the show did a better job evolving these things over time. Rather than having it all figured out at the beginning and then you're just kind of angry going through all this crazy shit. It kind of evolves through time. Dena's with you and then you kind of discover something about her. Oh, okay. And the relationship starts to develop. I will say, like, I kind of like the aspect of the game, where it was kind of almost sickening, like how Ellie, finds out she's pregnant and like, oh, you're dead weight now. It's like, damn, you can't even appreciate, this new life here. It's just dead weight to you and your little cause, the selfish desire for revenge that she has. You know what I mean? So I kind of feel like that's lost, but at the same time, I kind of appreciate the way that it's this stuff is kind of doled out throughout the season, because I feel like there'd be kind of nothing to talk about if they had done it the same way as the game. It would have been all figured out at the beginning, and then you're just kind of exploring areas for a few episodes, so I don't know. I go back and forth on their relationship in the way that it was executed, but there's pros and cons for sure. But like I said, I kind of feel like that was my one beef with the game, is that all of the kind of character stuff was, to me, kind of molded into shape at the beginning and then stayed that way. That's my only thought on it. That's not a big criticism. It's just how I felt when I was playing it. Yeah, like I said, I feel like if she had gone as violent and crazy as the game the whole time, referring to Ellie, it just might have been a little bit comedic. But that being said, in the moments where it counted, I feel like they could have turned it up a little bit more, like the Mel and Owen scene. Really, my only criticism with this season, where I like everything I'm mentioning, I go back and forth on. Like, I'll say this and then I'll turn around the next day and be like, nah, I don't. Yeah, maybe I've come around on that. The only thing that I will say is definitively, like, I did not like that was just, why are we doing 7 episodes? We waited 2 years, 7 episode season. I'm sorry. Like, they should have take 3 years and do a 14 episode season. Like go longer. Do 7 with Ellie, because I saw a lot of people saying, oh, it went too quick, or it went to, whatever. I kind of thought they covered all the good stuff in Ellie's story. I thought they did a good job, but the thesis isn't complete. I mean, obviously we knew it was going to go on a couple more seasons, so it's not like the show was going to be wrapped up here, but I still feel like I can't give a definitive statement on this story in any conceivable way, because we saw a piece of it and then it's like, see you in another couple years. Like, we didn't even get, to me, you should have waited, even if you needed another year, take 3 years and do a 14 episode season, do 7 with Ellie and 7 with Abby's thing. And then season 3, do a conclusive wrap up with both of the, kind of wrap the story up. That would be a perfect show to me. But 7, I just feel like, it's not really, I don't know, man. It just felt like, it just felt cheap to me. I really want to, emphasize, and I know I'm going to sound like a millennial old head guy, bro. We used to get Lost would air on TV. It would end in May. You would get this cliffhanger ass episode where they open up the hatch, they look down into it. Dun, 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 dun. What's in there? We don't know. And it ends. Bro, 7 months later. No. 6? No. 4 months? 5 months later? We'd be off and running with the conclusion of that storyline. We'd be back. I know that era of TV is dead, but I'm sorry, but 2 years? Like, even if it was, 7 episodes and then it's gone for a year and a half. Okay. But at this point, like, when are we going to see Severance again, But at least Severance, I don't even remember how many episodes the season was. 10? And it felt like a very complete statement and had an ending and whatever. I don't know. This season, it ended mid-sentence, I hate that. I hate when it's like, oh, but there's something else, and here's this thought, but we'll complete the thought later. It's like, it doesn't even, if you're going to send me off on another 2-year wait, I wish you would at least give me something that it felt like, it felt complete. Last of Us season 1, that ended in a way that if it never came back, you know what I mean? Like, you can watch that season, it's complete, You're excited for another season, but it's complete for now, and it's, you leave things to look forward to, but you kind of give it a nice conclusion for now that it's, again, it could be its own. If it ended here, I'd feel happy, I'm not asking for closure, shows don't need closure, but just something that it feels like that was worth the 2-year wait, or, you know what I mean? I don't know. So that's my only complaint that was like, I ain't budging on that thought. This is BS. That's the only thing I'm actually like angry about. Otherwise though, I thought it was good as I thought they did. I don't know. Like, they had a very difficult thing to adapt here, and I thought they did pretty good. There were moments that I go back and forth. Again, my favorite episode of the season was probably that second to last one. And of course included that conversation between Ellie and Joel on the porch, famous scene. And even there, it's like, oh, now Joel said, I love you. He didn't even get those words out in the game. He just kind of said, I'm going to look out for you. And I wish I could, whatever he says. I don't know. But he never outright says, I love you. And in the show, he says it. It's unspoken in the game, but he says it outright in the show. And even that, I was kind of like, I don't know what I think about that. Did we need that? We're kind of maybe over-explaining some things that maybe don't, that kind of went unsaid in the original material, whatever. So that's part of me. And then I talked to Johnny about it, and he had a great perspective on it where he was like, he didn't get to say that there, and that killed him in the game. And it's almost like the TV show is like, it's almost like the Ava rebuild. It's like in this version, he got to say it. It's almost like a meta thing. Like this time I'm not going to mess it up. I said it, and then I kind of liked it. Then I was like, yeah, this is kind of an alternate take on it where he got those words out. He finally, after the cycle of the abuse and all the things that have happened to him, he finally got that out. And it's kind of neat. But then I go to bed, and then the next day I wake up and I'm like, you didn't need to say that. You didn't need to say it. So I go back and forth. There's a lot that I go back and forth on. I think they had a real minefield ahead of them with adapting this material. I think they did a pretty good job, all things considered. But I think the ultimate problem was this story, unlike the first one, was tailor-made to be a video game. That's what I think the issue was. So I think they did the best they could, and sometimes it worked out, and sometimes it did not. I do think there was some softening going on with, I definitely think there is a degree of, because this dude, Craig Mazin or whatever, he wrote Chernobyl. That shit went hard. Like, that was gripping, and like, ooh, to watch it was horrifying. I don't think that guy wants to play anything soft. I do think probably someone talked to him or someone got in his ear about, like, don't outright. I do feel like there was a degree of, I think there's a degree of violence they can't do because it would be silly in a TV show compared to a game. But I do think in other moments, like that Mel and Owen scene, I do think there are parts where he was encouraged probably not to kill a dog or not to be so aggressive in here because they'll stop loving that character. You don't want, this is the only main character that's left, so you don't want people to hate them and blah, 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 blah. I do think big TV got in his ear on that. I do sense a degree of that. So that's a complaint, sure. That being said, I think the story still works. It is different than the game. And again, hot take, but I do think a lot of the criticism is still, this is different than the game. I'm mad. I've seen people mad about, like, really basic little things. People were flipping out that, like, oh, they didn't, they're not gonna, she didn't, she took the map, so they're not going to be able to do this and this and this. And it's like, just chill. Like, the show's not over. They'll do something with the map later. Don't worry about that. People do get hung up on the details when it's like, you got to let them cook. That does happen. So I'm going to defend them a little bit, but I'm also kind of like, I understand. It's a sensitive story for a lot of people. And I do think no matter what I think or what anyone else out there thinks, what you think, whatever, they weren't going to be able to win no matter what. I think there's nothing they could have done that people were just like, well, they did it. They nailed it. It was they were going to face this no matter what. So with that considered, I think they did okay. Did I like it as much as the first season? No. Like I said, first season, I think that's the best video game adaptation ever. But still think they did a commendable job. And again, I kind of liked, again, getting some of this alternate history stuff. Joel saying, I love you. Abby giving her little speech to Joel was a little corny, but in the game, he kind of implied like, I know you got it rehearsed. I know you got it. Just say it. This is the version of the story. She says it. I don't think that's bad. I think the show being complimentary to the game and kind of showing us alternate angles to stuff is not bad. I like that. Just like in the first season. In the game, they never gave us a lot of backstory on the fungus and how it spread and everything that happened with it. And then in the show, you got it all. I don't think that's bad, showing an alternate angle. This one did that too. So yeah, Abby's speech, it was corny and rehearsed, but I kind of feel like it would be. I don't know. I appreciated that. And I even think the show called attention to it when and one more thing. Next time and he's like, oh, will you shut the fuck up and just do it? I mean, I thought it was good. Yeah. I appreciated what they tried to do. It didn't always work. Like I said, I go back and forth on the Dena Ellie relationship and how that all unfolded. I go back and forth on how some of that, later the violent stuff, how that unfolded. I go back and forth on a lot of things, but I think they did okay, considering this was a minefield to walk in. And that's my take on it. I don't really have much more to say other than, I wish we didn't have to wait another couple years to see the rest. Because really, if the next part rules, I think these 7 will matter less. Kind of I think out of a longer show, it's just going to be a 7-episode chunk, and I kind of feel like the second half might even be easier to adapt because it's much more like, here's this beat, then this beat, then this beat, and it's unfolding. And I feel like this chunk of the game in particular, Ellie's chunk, it just doesn't have as much episodic material as maybe part 2 will have. Of the part 2 of The Last of Us Part 2. So I think next season will be better. I hope it rules. If it does, I'll care less about some of my qualms with season 2. But like I said, I think they did okay considering they were up against an impossible task and are adapting something intended to be a video game. And if you're asking me at the end of the day, if you're asking me like, what way should I experience the story? Oh, the video game, 100%. Nothing will change my answer on that. But I think they did pretty good considering how intrinsic it was to the nature of the story to be a video game. It'd be like adapting Metal Gear Solid 2. Let's say you get the best director. You get Stanley Kubrick comes back from the dead and adapts Metal Gear Solid 2 as a movie. I'm sure it would be dope. That story's written to be a video game. That story is so in the thick of what it means to be a video game. It would never, the best filmmaker on planet Earth couldn't make a movie that, oh, just watch this instead of playing the video game. Nah, the story was made to be a video game. You know what I mean? So, all that considered, did all right. But the 7-episode season, F that. Anyway, that's my take on The Last of Us Season 2. Let me know what you think. Give me your thoughts. Leave a comment. Tell me if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Maybe you felt very differently. Like I said, it's sensitive material for everybody. So maybe you felt strongly about something I didn't even bring up. Let me know. And I'm also going to I think I got to do a video about Andor soon. I got some thoughts on that too. Might have a hot take on that. So stay tuned. I know a hot take on a Star Wars thing. Oh boy. Gosh, first YouTuber to have that. Anyway, thank you for watching. A lot more shows I want to talk about. It feels good finally getting this out. I haven't done this in a long time. So thank you for watching. Like I said, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you next time. I came back to YouTube and you wasted it. That's a parody of the show.